Hey everyone, in this video I want to share with you one of the quickest ways to lose weight and to stay fit, and that is to change your mindset surrounding eating. Most people eat for pleasure. You want to swap that out with eating for sustenance. This is how you lose a ton of weight and stay fit for your entire life. Start viewing eating as something that you do for sustenance. Because, when you get down to it, that's literally the whole purpose of it. That is the only reason why we eat. There is no other reason. We eat to basically replenish ourselves using building blocks that we get from our diet. So all the food that you eat ends up literally becoming a part of you in some way. It creates your cells. So if you eat like crap, then your cells are going to be made of crap. So that's the whole point of eating. It's for sustenance. The reason why here in the US we have basically the highest obesity rates in the world is because people eat mainly for pleasure now. They've forgotten that sustenance was the whole purpose of it. So if you change your mindset around eating and start thinking that you need to eat purely for sustenance and not for pleasure, then guess what? You'll start losing weight over time and you'll be able to stay fit. And you won't even really need to try. I've done a ton of research on diet and fitness, and I can tell you right now, the main thing that affects somebody losing weight is not exercising. I know a lot of people like to say that that's the truth. It's not. It's diet. Diet comes first and foremost. Because if you're eating like crap, if you're eating 3,000 calories a day because you have a bunch of Starbucks drinks in the morning that are super sugary, which those things alone can have over 1,000 calories and people don't even realize that, or you're eating just a cake or ice cream or just basically a bunch of dessert food that tastes good but has really high calories, then you can work out like a madman like I do and you're not going to be making any progress. So diet is far more important. Not to mention, when people go on the ketogenic diet, they literally lose weight doing absolutely nothing because you can recondition your body to burn fat for fuel instead of carbs. So there you go. You can lose weight by doing nothing. So diet is the most important part. And that's why I wanted to make this video. Basically, losing weight is all about mindset. And once I learned this in my own life and I realized that, hey, it's really as simple as changing the way you view eating food as viewing it purely for sustenance, and then, oh my God, it becomes so much easier to lose weight and to stay fit because you're not going to be eating for pleasure all the time anymore. Your lunches, your breakfast, your dinner, not to mention intermittent fasting, so you can actually skip any of those meals. Either breakfast or dinner works best, but look up intermittent fasting. That's an awesome thing all to itself. But basically, when you eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you're going to actually be eating food that is healthy, food that is going to fuel your body with proper building blocks that you need. You need to make sure you're getting all your vitamins and minerals as well. That's really important. In fact, that right there is huge for mood regulation. A lot of people have mental illnesses and disorders that are caused by their diets because they're not eating right. And when you don't eat right, your brain isn't going to be getting all the things that it needs to properly function, which means that you can then end up depressed from the food you're eating. When I learned about this blew my mind because before then, I had never heard a doctor say that your mood could literally be impacted by the food you eat. I'd never heard a doctor say that depression could be diet related. I'd only ever heard doctors say that, oh, if you're feeling depressed, then you need to take antidepressant medication. It's like putting a band-aid on a freaking gash that goes all the way down your arm and then thinking it's going to heal from that. It's ridiculous. So, the food you eat greatly impacts your moods, not only from affecting your brain functioning, but also because of your gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria, crazily enough, even though it's not located up here, even though it's down here, it actually impacts your mood a ton. It's crazy. There have been some really nutty studies out there, if you look up, people basically have been involved in a study where they swapped somebody's gut bacteria with somebody else, and you can actually change somebody's personality by giving them the gut bacteria of somebody who thinks differently than them. That's how impactful this bacteria in our guts truly are. It's crazy to think about, but so that impacts your mood a lot on its own, which means you better make sure you're giving your gut bacteria good fuel, that you're not eating a bunch of sugar and crap, because that does not fuel the proper gut bacteria that you desire. I mean, this is some crazy stuff. It really is. Look into some of these studies. I don't remember the names of them, but if you just do a Google search on gut bacteria and I forget what the technical term is for when you swap one person's gut bacteria with somebody else's. It's got some weird name, but if you look into that, you'll be blown away because it is some trippy stuff. But anyway, back to the whole point of this video. Start thinking of eating as something you do merely to sustain your body. It is not something you should do just because the food you eat tastes good. If you eat only for pleasure, you're only going to be eating cake and ice cream and a bunch of other junk food that does not fuel your body. So instead, start cooking your meals. Start meal prepping. That's what I do. And when you cook about 5 meals or so in one sitting, it makes it so much easier because a lot of people don't like cooking and that's their excuse for not staying healthy. Well, the solution there is just to cook more food in one sitting, so then you only have to do it every now and then. And then other times you just reheat the food you've already made. So much easier. So that gets rid of that excuse. But really, another thing here is a lot of people think eating healthy foods is less pleasurable of an experience or even boring. That's because they don't know how to spice the food properly. So if you start getting into your spicing game and leveling that up, you can make healthy food taste incredible. I highly suggest garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, Himalayan pink salt. You can even look into cayenne pepper and other things like that. You can use cumin, you can use turmeric. There's so many spices out there that you can use. So once you start opening your eyes to that game, you can level up all of your food and make it taste way better than before. And then you'll be salivating eating healthy food. Also, I highly suggest looking into proper cooking oils like olive oil, avocado oil, using butter, beef tallow, stuff like that. Stay away from vegetable oils like sunflower oil and rapeseed oil. Those are really bad for you, so stay away from that crap. But the oil that you cook with also matters big time. But when you combine oils and spices, you can make healthy food taste insane, and then you can be eating for sustenance and pleasure simultaneously without feeling any remorse. But for the most part, just start training yourself that eating is something you do for sustenance. That's the whole purpose of it. We wouldn't eat otherwise. We eat merely to sustain our bodies. That's why we have to eat in the first place. So anyway, man, you can tell I'm passionate about this because if more people thought this way, they would just live better lives because they would be more fit. They would have more energy. Their moods would be more basically mellowed out and constant. When you eat right, your moods will pretty much sustain themselves. It'll kind of be like you'll be content most of the time. There won't be these highs and lows depending on what you eat. You'll literally just be zen most of the time. At least that's how it is in my own life. In fact, when I eat ice cream or cookies, sometimes it can make my moods get all out of whack because my body isn't used to that kind of fuel anymore. So when I do go off and have a cheat meal, it almost isn't even worth it anymore because of the way it makes me feel. So highly suggest you train yourself to eat merely for sustenance, and every now and then you can have a cheat meal, but once you start doing this more often, you probably won't even enjoy the cheat meals all that much anymore, just like I do, or just like my experience, because you start to realize how food affects you, because when you go away from eating for sustenance, you'll get some side effects that are not so great. So that's what's happening to your body normally, and you just basically train it to deal with the pain if you're always eating for pleasure, and your body just adapts to all this crap that it's eating, even though that does not mean it's good for you if you aren't having any side effects that you can directly tell from it. Your body is just getting used to pain. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox before I make this video way too long, but just start thinking that eating is something you should do only for sustenance. And sure, you can eat for pleasure every now and then, but do not do it the vast majority of the time. You always want to be eating for sustenance and sustenance alone. Anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!